Alright, right now onions, all uniform size, so everybody the same size. And if you want everything the same size in your soup, as you want, some have extra chunks of it, other chunks of it, just put some of it all the same size. So I'm gonna try some here, and then I'm gonna go carrots. Cut up a few of these. I'll take them the same size. I don't want different sizes. And fine, soup. And I'll go things out here, because that's what I got for the soup. So these all the same size soup. I keep them the same size as the carrots, they're really small, because I'm going to make things because I'm going to go to. And then next I'm going to cut up this beef, and then I'm going to start searing it with the oil in here, and I'm going to start doing that. Alright, first I'm going to put a little bit of oil, a little more than there's already a little bit in there. Just enough to cover up the bottom. You just want like a thin layer in there, that much, just a little bit. Just to cover the bottom, you don't want to have too much because then it's going to start popping and going all over everything, so, and you don't want that, that can be dangerous. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start searing the beef. Actually I'm going to cut it up first and then I'm going to sear it, but what you want to do first is the dry cooking method, and that's what the oil is for. I'm going to use the oil to basically saute this beef with all of the stuff I prepped up, the celery, the carrots, and the onion, and the potatoes I'm going to have to put in afterwards. But first I'm going to do this. So I'm going to cut up some of this, and basically I'm going to just kind of cook this off first, because I want to get the beef out of the way first, and I'm going to put those in after it. I'm going to put the beef in first, and I'm going to sear it, and then I'm going to saute all those afterwards, after I pull the beef out, and then I'm going to mix it all back together at the end. And I'm going to use the liquid cooking method, it's called, and the liquid cooking method is not used with oil. I guess you use whatever's left in there for oil, but you use whatever's left in there with what you made with the oil for all that stuff. And you're going to use a broth. I have these little beef cube things that I'm going to make a beef broth with. And then I'm going to put it all in with the beef broth to actually make the stew. And then I have some flour here in case it needs to be thickened, because I don't have... There's a couple ways you can do it. You can make a roux, or you can just add flour, which will thicken it up a little bit. I don't have a roux made, and I don't have cornstarch for a slurry, so I'm just going to use flour, and basically that's going to thicken up the stew a little bit to as much as I want it to be thickened. And that's about all I'm going to do for that. Then after that I'm just going to season it up. I'm going to put the potatoes in there too sometimes. I'm going to put those in just during the liquid cooking method. And alright, so right now I'm searing the beef up. You want to wait until it's brown and cook through, because you don't want it to be raw still. Cooking it in oil, and this is still the dry cooking method. And I'm going to do it with this and that before I start making the actual stew with the liquid cooking process too. But right now I'm searing up the beef with the oil, and then I'm going to take that out, put the veggies in. I'm just going to strain it out with a straining spoon. And then I'm going to start on that. And then I'm going to start the liquid cooking method, and I'm going to use the broth. And I'm going to put the potatoes in. And if I need it to be thickened, I'm going to use the flour. And then after that, I'll season it up, and it'll be pretty much done. Alright, now I'm straining out the beef. I'm just going to put it over here on this plate for now, while I cook off my vegetables over there. And then once I'm done cooking off the vegetables, I'm going to continue on and do that liquid cooking process. And yeah. Alright guys, so right now I'm sweating up all these vegetables that I prepped. And sweating it's kind of like sauteing, I guess, but you don't want to actually cook them through. You're just going to get them like you're going to heat them up, but you're not going to fully cook them, so it's just going to be sweated. And I'm going to sweat them through, and then after I do that, I'm going to put the beef in, and with the potatoes and the broth. And then what I'm going to do is start the complete actual stewing process, where everything is put in at once with the broth, and that's where the liquid cooking process comes in. And once I do that, basically what stewing is where you cook for a long period of time. Like it's going to take an hour or two for this to actually fully cook, because you want to let all the juices kind of get out of all of the things that you put in, all of your ingredients. which makes it better. And then at the end, you're going to season it up with any of your garlic. That's going to get put in. I'm going to put that in during the liquid process. Actually, I'm going to put in a little bit right now, just to give a little more flavor to the sweated vegetables. And then at the end, I'm going to use the salt and pepper over here. And while I'm making the stew itself, if it's not thick enough, I'm going to use this flour to put in there, just to make it thicker. And after I do that, that's about it. And then I'm just going to let it kind of sit for a couple hours on like a medium to like whatever, 6 I guess, medium, a little high heat. And just kind of let it sit in the whole liquid and everything, and just let it go from there. Alright, now what I'm doing is I'm going to finish the whole stewing process. I'm going to combine the dry cooking method, which I've been doing most of this time here. And I'm going to put all of my things back into this pot. And I'm going to put my broth in for the liquid. Now I'm just going to let it basically
simmer
for the rest of the time, for a couple hours. It depends on how much you make. For how much I've made, I should probably let it sit. I'm going to let it sit about medium to a little bit over medium heat. And I'm just going to let that simmer for probably like 45 minutes until everything is tender and soft. And then it should be about ready to eat. I'm going to season it with some of this pepper and salt. And
I think that's about it.
Alright, so this is what the final product should look like. I made a beef stew, since I haven't mentioned that earlier. And this is what it should look like. I did thicken it with flour, as you can kind of see in the broth. I'm not sure if I showed you it in the other ones, but it is much thicker than it was. Got some bread there just to make it look a little better on the plate itself. And that's how it should look at the end. I just seasoned it with some of the salt and pepper. And
that's it.